So let's talk about what's so great about this YONHAN battery charger. Obviously, the price. At this super low price point, if this charger extends the life of an expensive battery, it more than pays for itself. It's a smart charger that does 12 and 24 volt battery systems. It automatically detects what charging voltage to use. It has an internal temperature sensor, so it knows if it's summertime or wintertime. And during the winter, it automatically boosts the charge a little bit to compensate for the cold temperatures. It is able to charge all types of lead-acid batteries, from big batteries and small batteries, wet cell batteries, AGM batteries, gel cell batteries, and so forth. It provides a maintenance mode, so you can apply this to a motorcycle battery or a sports piece of equipment and just let it hang on the battery all winter long, and it will maintain the battery at a full charge. And it's a really intelligent maintenance mode in that it doesn't just continuously apply a little trickle of energy like a lot of dumb chargers do. This one will actually do a proper charge cycle and then pause and shut itself down and monitor the battery voltage until the battery voltage comes down to a set point where the battery needs a top-off charge, and then it does another proper cycle. So by going through these charge cycles in maintenance mode, it treats the battery better than the old-fashioned maintenance chargers. It is a smart charger, so it charges the battery and then stops, doesn't overcharge the battery, but it's more than that. A lot of typical smart chargers just apply a standard charge to the battery until the battery voltage reaches a proper set point and then they stop. But this one is microprocessor controlled and goes through a whole series of different types of battery charges to completely and fully restore the battery operation. So it does pulse charging, followed by continuous current charging, continuous voltage charging, a float charge, a recovery charge, and so forth. It's a 7-step charging process that has the effect of rejuvenating the battery chemistry and getting your batteries in a completely, fully tip-top charged state and recovers the maximum amount of battery capacity possible. This unit also has a pulse recovery repair mode where it can blast pulses of energy into the battery to wake up the battery chemistry and rejuvenate the battery. Now, some batteries are so far gone that they just cannot be recovered, but I've had a couple of batteries here that I thought were complete goners that the pulse repair mode actually worked on, and it was able to recover those batteries and get them back to what evidently seems like perfectly usable working condition again. I was surprised. It's a 10 amp charger at 12 volts, 5 amps at 24 volts, and that's not a massively large charger, but it does charge the batteries fairly rapidly in a relatively short period of time, and it charges batteries faster than I would expect a 10 amp charger to do so. So I think it works really well, and a 10 amp charge is a nice, moderate, decent charge rate that won't damage your batteries, but yet, on the other hand, won't take forever to get them charged. So I think it's a good size for most people. So let's take a little closer look at this unit, and I'll show you its operation. It's super simple to operate. Here's a little closer look at the charger. It's super easy to operate. There's only one control on the panel, which is this touch control right here that selects the type of battery you wish to charge, or if you want to select a maintenance or repair mode. The unit has a memory in it, so it will come up in the same mode that you used it in the previous session, so that's convenient. The mode that the unit is in is indicated by these lights right along the bottom down here, and there is a large LCD display which indicates the battery voltage, the amount of current being delivered, and the ambient temperature, so the unit knows if it should be doing a winter charge or a summer charge. You'll notice that there's a chart printed right here which depicts the different charging modes that it steps through in a charging cycle, where the top line indicates the voltage and the bottom line indicates the current being delivered. And so it just gives you a pictorial representation of the 7-step charging process that this unit goes through. There's a small fan on this end of the unit that keeps it cool while it's operating, and the power cord is over here, and on this side of the unit there's a relatively short but decent pair of battery connector clips and its cable. My advice is to connect this unit to the battery before plugging it in, and that way you get a voltage indication on the display of the resting battery voltage, which gives you an indication as to how discharged that battery is. So let's hook it up. So when we connect the battery, it tells us what the current battery voltage is, and it will cycle between that and the current ambient temperature. If you have those connections reversed, where the positive lead from the charger is on the negative post of the battery, the display will not turn on. So if the display doesn't turn on, that's an indication that maybe you have those leads reversed, or that your battery is really severely dead. If the unit is plugged in when you attach it to the battery and the connections are reversed on the battery, you'll get an error message. I'm going to plug the unit in at this point and we'll begin a charging cycle. You can hear the small fan turn on as the unit begins operating, and it says DFS on the display for desulfate, which is a pulse charge method to apply a bunch of pulses into the battery at high current, which helps wake up the battery chemistry. It will stay in this state for about 5 minutes when it begins the charging cycle to prepare the battery to best take a charge. You'll see a bar graph display right over here, which shows the current state of battery charge. And so it's going to sit in this state for about 5 minutes until the desulfate mode completes, and then it will begin the rest of the battery charge. The mode selector switch allows you to choose what type of battery you wish to charge or the operation you wish to do, indicated by the lights along the bottom. The first mode, the first light, is for standard automotive battery use. The second mode is for batteries that are of gel cell or AGM types. They have a slightly lower resting voltage than a wet cell battery. The next mode over is for charging smaller batteries, such as from lawn tractors, sports equipment, and so on. The fourth mode is called motorcycle mode for charging motorcycle batteries, but I would call it maintenance mode. It can really be used to charge any battery, but in a maintenance mode fashion, which is it does a standard battery charge operation like any of the other modes. But when the charge is complete, this unit will say full on the display, and then eventually it will say off, just like it does with all the other modes. But even though the display is saying off, the unit continues to monitor the battery voltage, and when the battery voltage dips down, the unit decides that it's time to top it off again, and it will restart and do another charge cycle. And so motorcycle mode or maintenance mode is the mode that you'd want to be on if you connected this to a battery that was in storage over the winter or for a long period of time, and it will automatically charge as needed to keep that battery in tip-top condition. And the final mode is a repair mode, and it says PUL for pulse repair. And in this mode, it is applying a series of high-energy pulses into the battery to help rejuvenate the battery chemistry. It does this automatically during the other charge modes for the first few minutes to get things woken up and ready for a charge. But if you have a battery that's been neglected and needs to be recovered, you can put it into pulse mode and let it sit in this mode for a few hours, maybe as much as a day, to try to shake that chemistry back to life. Operation is really simple. The unit remembers the last charging mode it was in, and so most of the time you can probably just connect it to your battery and plug it in and be good to go. After your charge cycle is complete, the display will indicate full, and you'll see the bar graph showing that the battery charge state is completely full. After a while of this, the unit will also then switch to off mode, where the display will show off and the unit will be resting. My takeaway is having a smart battery charger like this is a good tool to have to protect your expensive investment in batteries. Now, of course, there's lots of good battery chargers in the market. I just think that this one represents particularly good value.
Works like a charm. Right now I got it on repair. Looks like a charm. Can hear the little fan in there. Working. Doing the job.
Charging my Honda battery. Plug up my house.